Podcasting from Woodstock, Georgia, welcome to Soul Solutions, a show where we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs. I'm your host, author, and certified life coach, Terry Kozlowski. Episode 32. Actually, willpower is an egoic lie to keep us stuck. The American Psychological Association defines willpower as the ability to resist short-term temptations to meet long-term goals. But we also associate willpower with delaying gratification and being able to control our behaviors. Some of us boast about how much strength of will we have, while others criticize themselves for a lack of willpower. But I think the ego uses our belief, whatever it is, about our ability to control our behaviors against us. This way, we stay stuck instead of moving towards our dreams. We believe our ability to self-discipline is a crucial factor in how successful our lives can be. But is it just an excuse for us to live a miserable life? If we don't think we have the discipline to do something, it explains why we don't do it. And if we weren't able to control our behaviors when we were younger, our ego reminds us we couldn't do it in the past, so why do we think we can do it now? This idea of willpower, self-control, discipline, restraint, all comes down to a simple question. What outcome do you want? And how much do you want it? Do we want to get healthy and feel good? Or do we want that piece of cheesecake we know will make us feel ill later? Do we want to write a book we know will help others? Or do we want to veg in front of the television and do nothing? Awareness of our options. Choices. We make them each day. The ones we make today affect our tomorrow. But are we paying attention to the long-term effects our selection has? If we don't, we allow the ego to use our past to indicate our future. Because the egoic mind continually points out those areas it wants to avoid any potential loss, embarrassment, or risk. When we become aware, we can adjust our behaviors so that we can accomplish our goals. Does this mean we won't struggle with our choice? No, the egoic mind will resist us. As human beings, part of our design is the ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Being conscious of our choices and evaluating probable outcomes are proactive ways to diminish egoic fears. We need to unlearn our negative beliefs about our inability to self-discipline, delay our gratification, and how much willpower we have. The reality is our ego doesn't want to do much of anything. It wants the piece of chocolate cake, and it wants to veg in front of the TV and do nothing. Putting out effort, thinking about others, and delaying pleasures are things it wants to avoid. The ego is lazy and selfish. Therefore, we need to pause and notice what we genuinely desire, not just now, but long term. Marshmallows and overall success. In 1972, at Stanford University, Walter Mischel led the famous marshmallow experiment in our ability to delay gratification. He gave a child a treat and told them they could have 2 of the sweets if they waited 15 minutes. This research was long-term and showed that those children who chose to wait for the double portion had better outcomes in their adult lives. When we consciously opt to wait for something better, we demonstrate to the ego that we aren't losing anything but gaining more in the long run. We all can make this type of choice. It doesn't require willpower if we understand the long-term soulful goals versus the short-term egoic desires. Our capacity is infinite. Our brains solve complex problems, imagine alternative options, and learn new things every day. But many of us habitually respond to life instead of utilizing our brain power. Why? Because our ego doesn't want to put out the effort of stretching ourselves and growing. I think willpower is the amalgamation of our willingness to take action, use our full mental capabilities, and have the resilience to move forward with our dreams. What willpower isn't. Willpower isn't about being something we aren't. It's not suppressing our egoic thoughts, nor is it about shaming ourselves into behaving a certain way. It's about accepting ourselves and inspiring ourselves to take the next step towards our goals. When we allow the ego to shame us about our missteps, it causes us to quit. Instead, we need to look upon ourselves with compassionate eyes and look for the lesson this experience gave us to grow and expand our souls. When we alter our perceptions of our missteps and see the lesson, we boast our self-discipline for the next set of circumstances. When we are suppressing ourselves by wearing masks and armor, we hide who we authentically are. We try to be what others want us to be instead of being our authentic selves. This hiding takes a lot of effort and depletes us of our willpower because we use it to hide. We are worthy as we are. Now that we are aware of our options, we can learn to optimize our energies to become more authentic and make our dreams a reality. Knowing ourselves. As we increase our self-knowledge, we can learn what areas we have little self-discipline. Willpower is about the actions or inactions we take. So it's essential to know how our ego reacts to situations we lack restraint. When we have taken a misstep, how do we react? Do we evaluate the situation to determine a course correction? Or does the ego automatically want us to quit by taking us down the treacherous path of blame, shame, and judgment? From a biological standpoint, the negative self-talk triggers our bodies to want to feel better via dopamine, the pleasure neurotransmitter. To get our hit, we scroll through social media or eat that tub of ice cream. To counter our inner critic's montage of disapproving banter, we need to realize every action we take may not turn out as we expect. We forgive ourselves instead of wallowing in self-pity or spiraling down into a depressive state. Knowing that we will not hit the target every time, we can be compassionate and course correct. Building our willpower muscles. The egoic mind is an impulsive pleasure seeker that wants treats, fun, and amusement. The soul is the wise, authentic self that wants to take the right actions towards its long-term goals to live the life we dream. So when our brain is trying to keep the egoic pleasure seeker at bay, it uses up some of its resources and tires. Like all muscles, to strengthen our resolve, we need to exercise, eat well, and rest. Willpower doesn't increase by force. Proper rest, even 5-minute breaks, allows the brain to reset and restore its ability to focus. The brain needs proper nutrition to maintain normal operating parameters. It needs more when we are using it for self-control and concentration. Stress deteriorates our ability to use our rational brain. Instead, we react emotionally, thus causing our willpower muscles to weaken. In its place, we revert to egoic habits as a substitute for conscious responses. To calm ourselves, let's breathe. 3 repetitions of deep breathing to a count of 5 allow our autonomic nervous system to relax. Meditation also works our willpower muscle by teaching the brain to concentrate and avoid the urge to stray. Research shows that with only 10 minutes of meditation a day, our brains will focus better, we will have more energy, and be less stressed. Mindfulness of our habitual behaviors. Being aware of the choices we make allows us to alter our unconscious reactions. Take a moment to think about each choice we make. This pause enables our brains to focus and resist temptation. Ask ourselves questions. Why are we automatically taking a particular action? This questioning allows us to reprogram our robotic reactions to habitual tasks we may want to alter to become a better person or consciously move towards our goals. Our bodies respond to our imagination. When we think about lying on a sunny, secluded beach, our muscles relax. So we can use this as a tool to build our willpower muscle. When we think about our future selves, our brain treats this self as another person. Our imagination sees them as better versions of our current selves. So when we are making choices, we can use our future selves as a way for us to not to delay our actions and make ourselves accountable to them. We can imagine our future selves enjoying the benefits of the choices we make today, the delayed gratification. Becoming more mindful of our thoughts, how our choices impact our future, empowers us to take responsibility for our actions. Rewards and temptations. The ego wants immediate gratification. Knowing this information can help us to resist temptation. I love pasta, but the gluten causes an inflammatory response in my body. But even though I know I will be ill if it's in the house, I will eat it. I know my weakness. Therefore, it's not in the house to prevent me from eating it. It's one of my many plans I have to deal with temptations I may encounter. Have a plan to deal with those chronic issues that tempt us so we don't succumb. Avoid places we know may cause us to misstep. Don't permit ourselves to be bad because we've been so good. This phrase means we don't reward ourselves for doing what we consciously choose for our future selves. Since I worked out this morning, I can have a tub of ice cream tonight. Not. This self-sabotaging behavior only makes us feel guilty and ashamed, especially since the ego points out our misstep as a reminder of our lack of willpower. When we have big, audacious goals, break them down into achievable steps and reward ourselves for the movement forward, not for being good. This system stimulates self-discipline and gives the egoic mind the incentive to keep working towards the big, audacious goal. Moving forward, one step at a time. Feeling overwhelmed by a goal or a task is more often the reason people lack willpower. So break down the goal into manageable pieces. This strategy guarantees success as well as keeps us from being depleted of our willpower. As we accomplish a step, we have satisfaction and pride in completing this phase before we move on. We will also build our self-confidence to make it easier to confront the next stage. Do you need support to help you understand willpower and how to build yours? Do you want a strategy to help you overcome the ego's limiting beliefs and live a successful life? If so, please reach out to me at terrykozlowski.com where we can put together an action plan for you to create the life you desire. Don't forget to check out my book, Raven Transcending Fear, which is now available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. The link is in the show notes, or you can go to raventranscendingfear.com. Thanks for listening to Soul Solutions with Terry Kozlowski. If you'd like the show and want to learn more, check out terrykozlowski.com where you can find the links to everything we talked about in this episode. Please subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode as we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs.